Bernstein again. Big opening. Pass 5. Pass 10. Vermont's a man. And he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards of the carry.
Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag and Oak Bridge Wealth Management. I'm Matt Perkins, joined as always by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today?
Dude, I'm doing really well. It's, every time I see your face, Matt Perkins, the holiday, but we have Claire here who has a final coming up. She's a senior in college. Oh man, don't graduate. I know you got to, but we're really lucky we have Clare Vogel here from, ESPN Madison. She's a senior. She works at my favorite establishment in the world, Wando's. I think everyone knows that's my favorite place. I met my wife there. I have a chair there.
You do have a chair there. I just saw it yesterday. I was cleaning yesterday. I'm like, there's Matt's chair.
Thank you. I do appreciate that chair's there. It makes me all warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Well, Bernie, it was a destination for me as well. I did not spend nearly as much time there as you did, but I don't think anyone in the history of UW has spent as much time there who worked there. I think Jay Wando hasn't even spent as much time there as you have. But before we get into it with Claire, want to remind everyone tuning in that we are presented by betonline.ag, where they continue to be your number one source for all of your online sports wagering needs. It's springtime, Major League Baseball, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. They are all over there at betonline.ag. Your favorite teams, sports, lines, you name it, they've got it. Head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a welcome offer with the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. Bet online where the game starts. And Oak Bridge Wealth Management. Our guy, Chris Anicetti. Get your money right. If you are a current or future professional athlete, he is the guy for you. That's Chris Anicetti, Oak Bridge _ Anicetti on Instagram. Chris Anicetti, Oak Bridge Wealth Management. Let's now transition into, I guess, Bernie, I'm going to let you head it off because I do not know Claire nearly as well, or at all, I should say, as you do, because I don't have the same Wando's connection. So I'm going to pass the mic back over to you and go on from there.
No, I thank you, Matthew Perkins. Claire, thank you for being here with us. Claire, just give us your sports background. How did you get involved, with, growing up, sports? What's your favorite sports? And how'd you get involved with ESPN Madison?
Yeah, so definitely grew up watching a lot of sports, playing a lot of sports, probably played every sport you could probably think of. But yeah, big sports family. So just grew up in, the sports atmosphere. And it's weird to think about now because I've always been passionate about sports, but, coming out of high school and wondering what I was going to do with my life, I never really thought I could turn a passion into a profession. It wasn't something that really crossed my mind. The sports world professionally is really hard to get into. It's competitive. Women in sports, it's really hard to get into, but I was on the crew team earlier in my collegiate career. Wasn't the best fit for me, but I would never, it was a great experience. I met a lot of cool people, learned a lot of good life lessons along the way. And then once I was done with rowing, I knew I needed to kind of jumpstart my professional career in sports. So there was an opening for the internship with ESPN Madison. Somehow instead landed a part-time job. So I've been there for a bit over a year, and I'm in both marketing and digital media. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of the sports background. Had a couple other sports internships in NIL and just in sports entertainment in general, but it's been a lot of fun.
So you jumped right into, I have so many questions about the NIL. From your boots on the ground in Madison, you are graduating. So you are actually, your peers are the people who are now benefiting from NIL.
Yes.
So, and you were there prior. So you were there at the beginning when nobody had any money. I remember going to Wando's with $20 and then leaving with $25 and somehow wasted. It was great. But I was, and Matt Perkins, you probably were we didn't have a lot of money in our pockets. But Claire, so how did that talk to me about what it was like before, and then what happened once they allowed NIL, and what does it make on campus now?
I have a pretty strong opinion on NIL. I think, just the sports atmosphere in general has changed so much with NIL, and then that kind of transition to people wanting to get into the transfer portal and, capitalizing on their name. I think as like a diehard sports fan, many would probably not be for NIL, just because there's a lot of lost passion for the sport itself. I think it can do a lot of good things for people. I mean, you have collegiate athletes that are making more than professional athletes, in certain cases, not all, but it's great that guys or girls can make, money on their name, but it just kind of becomes a problem if that becomes a priority. And
so have you seen that become a priority for some people? We're not going to name names. So if you're listening and you're excited about we're going to point fingers, we're not going to do that. We're just talking about the general athlete at Wisconsin. And it could be anyone from top all the way to the bottom. So, I mean, Claire, have you seen that become? So here's where I'm coming from for a second. Sorry to just jump in. Graham Mertz, the second NIL came out, that dude had a website with his t-shirts up. That couldn't have taken 1 minute to do. So I thought it became, in my own couch potato opinion, became a business where each person is their own LLC.
Yep.
Is that the truth, kind of?
I mean, it can be the truth for some players. You can see it in some ways where you think, someone has been doing really well at Wisconsin, and then all of a sudden they want to transfer, and you're wondering, why are they transferring? And, the main debate is is it because they are chasing money? That's very possible. And that's not, I mean, it's very, it depends. It's very situational. You have guys who it's not a good fit for them at Wisconsin. And there are guys who have, been second, third string players who transferred to another school and now they've gotten drafted. So there are ways that transfer portal is a great thing, but then there are ways where it can kind of be a toxic environment. And like you said, it kind of becomes a business. So it's definitely situational, but.
Do you think that sort of that focus on NIL sort of, I don't want to say tears away at, but affects sort of interpersonal dynamics between the guys as well as it,
or the girls, we should be saying, because our women's volleyball players obviously have a ton of NIL opportunities as well.
Right.
And the transfer portal is becoming more and more of an option for them too. So, but I would imagine that it sort of does become another obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different relationships. There are, coaching to players, player to player, fan to players. And I think NIL is maybe not messing with, but, the dynamics definitely change because you have people who are diehard Wisconsin fans, and it's really hard to follow a sport, especially the bigger sports like basketball and football, volleyball. It's hard to, be a fan when, you have so many guys in and out, or girls. And it's really hard to be a fan. And then, culture is a big thing within the team. When you have so many people in and out of your teams, it's hard to build a culture. You think about how long does it take to build a solid, stable culture? It's probably years. And you have new people in every single year. So how is that for, the team aspect? It's probably pretty detrimental when you have a lot of, especially on a small sports team, like a basketball team, when you have your, next year, a majority of our starting lineup is, gone. So, there's a lot of dynamics that are kind of being played with there, but.
I don't know. In my opinion, it's just sort of reflecting even the hyper professionalization of coaching as well. I mean, these guys have, if you've been in college for however many years, and a lot of times you've seen, if you've been there for 4 years, you've had 3 or 4 different position coaches, right? Mm-hmm. Even if the head coach isn't necessarily changing, we see guys and girls ascending, descending the ranks, going for different opportunities, or being pushed out for one reason or another. So I just think it's sort of, it was the inevitable conclusion of all the coaching movement and preventing players from doing the exact same thing where their models, right? The coaching models are doing that, are doing just that thing. So, but let's talk about, I'm actually really curious about what sort of you've been doing with ESPN Madison and sort of how you got into that, because as someone who, I don't know if you're a comm arts major or not, I was a comm arts major. And so any of those opportunities were awesome. I remember that when, go down memory lane for a second, when I used to like run cables for the basketball games at the Kohl Center. So those were some of my favorite memories as an undergrad. But sort of what specifically are you doing at ESPN Madison, and how did you really get into that?
Yeah, so I am a comm arts major. I'm in radio and television. So that is kind of, when I signed up for I think I told Matt this, when I signed up for the internship, it was kind of just like, oh, email this person for internship inquiries. And I was in radio and television. Obviously, it's like a radio station. So I was thinking I would be doing something with radio and television. And it ended up being a marketing position, which I've loved, and I get to do a lot of different things. On the marketing side, I deal with a lot of the events. So being at remote broadcast, kind of dealing with like the radio side of things. But then, the next day I could be doing, the other week I did Fan on the Street with Devin Robinson, and kind of just going around and picking up people, asking questions, sports-related questions, random questions. And then some days I'll be at games getting content. There are a few basketball games that I got to be courtside doing content, post-game interviews, stuff like that. So a lot of different stuff. And I think it's been a really good learning opportunity because you kind of figure out what you want to do. And I definitely think I want to get into the marketing NIL side of things. Not to say I don't love social media, but it's technical. A lot of editing might not be my forte, but it's good to learn those things. And I've been able to shadow a lot of my other colleagues as well in sales and other positions. So it's been a really, I'm very, very grateful to be in the position and given the opportunity to work for them. And it's a really tight-knit group. And like I said before, it's so nice to be able to work in a space that I'm passionate about, and I don't have to dread going to work. I can look forward to the next day of, who knows what I'm going to be doing, but I chasing dreams. It's a
Who
lot
knows
of fun.
who's going to show up to the tailgate, right?
Yeah, Matt is.
yeah, definitely. Claire, I love that, and I think ESPN Madison's fantastic. Every time I've been there to do anything, it's been really, really nice, and it is a small kind of shop there, which is kind of cool. So I'm assuming NIL transfer portal is a huge topic all the time. Mm-hmm. I would assume, obviously, basketball, volleyball, football are huge topics. Yep. You mentioned culture. You mentioned basketball. This basketball team had a lot of craziness go on at the end of the season.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, craziness. I mean, dudes are leaving for a lot of money. And I mean, Claire, $700,000 is a lot of money.
I know it is.
I mean, that's a lot of dough. So when I hear that, I'm like, how dare you do this? And then I'm like, oh, you got $700,000. I would leave. Not to go to Michigan. There's no money in this world to go there. But every other place I'd probably go. So I can't. Yeah. But what's the pulse like around campus with students? What are their thoughts? Like, are people pissed about it? Are people good for him or good for them or good for her? What's it like when you hear these things? And is it becoming so normal?
Yeah, I think it's hard from a fan's perspective because, anyone's going to be like, oh, if there's, that much money standing in front of me, that I'm going to want to go for it. But as a fan, you don't want your favorite players leaving. You don't want the players that are, Chucky Hepburn. He's the biggest, that's Wisconsin basketball. And now he's gone. So it's what is I think people are kind of worried about what our teams are going to look like. Basketball, football, volleyball, whatever it is. people are worried, but I think they kind of understand, money is money and they probably do it too. But it still sucks. It still sucks for sure.
It sucks, but at the same time, like 700 grand
Yeah.
is not just like a little bit of money. It's an extremely huge amount of money where a guy like Chucky could live off of that for a very long time.
Yes.
For maybe a decade if he's kind of financially conscious. But
yeah,
I mean, to me, so like when a student hears that, like let's say you're working at Wando's and you know that. Do dudes come in? Are people flaunting this type of wealth now? Or we don't have to be specific, but like I literally got $300 but at the beginning of a month, and my dad said, "You got to make that work." and that's a lot of. I got more money than a lot of people got. So, like, is that? Tell me what it looks like.
I think it's just from guys like coming in or just seeing how they interact like on social media. It is very easy. I mean, there are those guys that are humble, and then they are some of the most like the favorite players because that they have so much money, but they're humble about it. And then you have other players where it is like very, very obvious. And you can see that in person, online. It's pretty easy to, see through. But, goes both ways. I think the fan favorites end up being the people who are like kind of quiet about it. And they're still focused on what they should be focused on. Like you're making a lot of money, but you still love the sport that you came here to play. You're still focused on, academics. So, it can go both ways, but.
I said this the other day, the worst investment is buying a jersey. Any sport, any sport now, this Matt Perkins, you probably, this started in the NFL like 10 years ago. 30 years ago, nobody jumped from team to team. And then, you know what it was? The NBA became super teams to win championships. It's genius, right? The Heat did it. And then, so Claire, you were a lot younger at this point, but that's when it became, people were moving team to team to team. But back in, like when I grew up, nobody left their team ever. They were there for 10 years. So it's hard to kind of build this thought process up. And you're used to the NFL because that is a business. But then it trickled to college, and it became something that's still hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah. Yeah, you wonder like what it comes down to. Like, is it under like Wisconsin athletics that needs to figure out how to like retain their athletes? Does it come down to recruiting? It's almost like, the recruiters almost have to be like salespeople.
No, take away the almost.
Yeah, they are.
The almost. They are salespeople. And they'll tell you themselves, like they are selling the university. They are selling, if it's football coach Fickle or whatever.
Yeah.
You're selling the dream. You go to the NFL, like you're going to make money. I mean, so Claire, you said you had internships with the NIL. Are we behind in NIL? Like, are we competitive? Are we attractive to young, high school kids who want to come play volleyball, basketball, anything? I guess we don't have gymnastics, but like any sport that could make money. Are we high on that board?
Just like Wisconsin in general?
Yeah.
I think that there are schools that are just like powerhouse schools that everyone is trying to, they're very sought after. I don't think Wisconsin's like super low in the ranking, but they're probably, mid-range. You have like the Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia that everyone's trying to go to. But I mean, we have a beautiful campus. We have nice facilities. Just got Camp Randall redone. So,
and it's going to be a new practice facility, which is going to be outrageous.
Yeah.
So we're doing all the things.
Yeah.
But you see Chucky leave for $700,000 or $750,000 or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, you tell me better. I don't think we can compete with that number.
No. Yeah.
Not for basketball, that's for sure.
No. Right. Yeah. It all depends how much money those athletics have. Like Wisconsin athletics it probably doesn't have that much money, so can't. can't keep them, but
and it can't even technically be Wisconsin athletics.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the
varsity
collective has to have that money, and those two things cannot be attached. Now, there was a recent ruling in Virginia that they are now allowing the universities to directly pay or directly negotiate the NIL deals. And I personally think if that happens, that's actually that's a huge step forward, and at least like sort of leveling the playing field a little bit. So not having to rely on, a third party to be part of the negotiations for, because that's what recruiting is these days in transfer portal. It's negotiations more so than anything else.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievable. I still can't get $700,000 is, I still can't. I just will never be able to, like, my mind explodes that's what someone, and to be honest, when I heard that, I was like, Chucky, you got to do you. Like, my thought, Claire, a long time ago was you should never leave college. You should graduate and you should go your entire time and be on your team. And then people start getting hurt and you're like, wait, you should leave the second you have a good year. Get your money. You could always come back to the university. It's not going anywhere, but your window to play sports is short in your lifespan. Wait, so I have 100 more questions, but you guys, so back in the day, I won't name names, but me and my friends would go to Wando's on Fridays and Saturdays, after games on Saturdays for sure, and have a very good time if my mom's listening or my mother-in-law is listening. Basically get hammered and just have a blast. Like there was no social media. Phones kind of didn't work inside. Like you had to call people, I had to go outside. And like you just showed up and people were there and you talked to them. It's crazy thought, Claire, I know. It's the same culture, like dudes still, and women, so I don't want to just single out the football guys or the basketball, but are people still going out and like having a good time in Madison? Are athletes actively like enjoying the bar scene and stuff like that? Because I have no idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Nothing has changed there. I'm not outing them. Like they go out and they have their fun, but I like, from what we from a business aspect, we're not getting as many people in the bar if they're not there, so Wando is really, he makes sure they're in there, but they're focused when the season hits, though. They're not going to be out, in Wisconsin, Thursdays is a big night to go out. They're not going to be out on a Thursday or a Friday before a game, obviously. And once they're in spring ball or they're at summer camp, whatever it is, like they're pretty focused and they're not in the bar as often, but they're definitely in the bar when they can be. And they are having their fun. So you still got to have a mix of, the social life as well.
I everything you just said is exactly my experience. When spring ball hits or, fall starts, your time is limited at the bar. Maybe it's Saturday night and that's it. But once you are out of season, it is fair game, unless you have to work out in the morning, and then you should not be out of the bar. Wait, so Claire, I have to ask you, what was it like? Because I'm sure you talked to some of the guys, was football specific. They went from Coach Chris to Coach Leonard, who I played with, to now Fickle. Yeah. What have you talked to those guys about? Are they happy? Are they sad? Like, what's the now we're 2 years in, so I guess it's kind of a little separate, but you lived through this whole entire era, which is pretty wacky. What was like the pulse like at that point?
Yeah, I think I can't speak for them. I can speak from more of like a fan point of view. And I've heard like some things, but I think they probably, talked amongst each other about those things, but not necessarily to other people. But I think it was just like a hard change because people loved Paul Christ and he's a great guy. He was a great coach, and sometimes you just need change, and that's what Wisconsin football needed. And people were really excited about Fickle coming in, and but, the whole culture aspect, like I said, it takes a while to build culture, and people, they thought we were going to go from a 500 team to, all of a sudden we're undefeated. It's not going to work like that. And we had a lot of guys.
You get this guy right here.
It's gonna be a building process, and you're going from an offense that's dominated by the backs, and now you have the air raid, so you have like a completely different offense, and that's a lot of change within one team in a short amount of time. So I think in the years coming there will be more opinions, but obviously there are big opinions now, but I guess valid opinions, because it's going to take time. The culture is going to be built over time. With the transfer portal, it might be a little rocky, but I think people should still be excited about it. I think after last season, people are kind of like, oh, we're still going to suck, and this is Wisconsin athletics. But, it's going to take time, and in the years coming, we'll continue to grow and get better.
Claire, how much, like, Coach Alvarez had a bunch of years, although he did pretty well pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I think his first season was 0-16, 1-15, 1-13, something like that.
Yeah.
1-11 or 1-10. 1-10 or
I'm always going with the NFL record, but 1-10. Claire, what do you think is like a respectable amount of time that we should literally give new coaches now?
Well, it's hard too, because some of the guys that are on the team now, that like, this is not fully Luke Fickell's team yet, because you still have people that were recruited by Paul Chryst and his staff. So, I don't know the exact timestamp, but once he gets in more of his recruits, more recruits that his team, knows exactly what he's going to expect, I think it'll get easier from there. But maybe a couple years. I don't know. What do you think?
I think we should be undefeated every year, but that's just because that's not it's like the lunatic part of my brain. I think we have to give him at least 3 years.
Yeah.
At least 3 years. You're talking about, first off, I've never seen something like that happen, where you had coach fired after 4 games, interim coach, he's let go, whole new thing, not even new offense, new defense, new everybody.
Right.
Maybe a couple people were still left over. Casey Roback, I think, might have been.
Casey was the only person on staff left over.
So you're literally, and staff is what, 30, 40 people now? So you're literally getting rid of, social media has changed.
Yeah.
So like every aspect of these guys' lives have changed drastically. So I agree with you. But I do, listen, you could see in the transfer who left last year, right? And who went to not saying Braylon, I'm not singling him out, but guys who went to the NFL or transferred, they were not the perfect fit. I don't think Braylon's the perfect fit for this offense. I think he's awesome for the Jets, but I'm so happy I got that in. But I'm wearing a Jets t-shirt today. But I think, a guy like Chez Malusi, who came here prior to Fickell, is going to benefit drastically by this. But I agree with you. So I think 3 to 5 years gets him all his guys he's recruiting, and it gets him the transfer portal to fill gaps. But again, as you know, Matt Perkins, we've interviewed people. They've had change in assistant coaches. So that's also difficult, because you're learning new things. Yes, like maybe a down block on the line is a down block, but maybe it's called something different, or a step is different, and you have to relearn these things. And when I was there, we hardly had new coaches, maybe one every couple years.
Didn't you have this? You had Brian White the whole time.
I had Brian White the whole time.
Yeah.
Huber was there. You had staples that guys were there for 10, 15 years until Barry left. And then some coaching changes happened. So you're talking about culture. What Barry did was nobody ever left, really. You had some tight ends coaches leave. Coach Chris left and came back. Mm-hmm. But your main group was always there. So I do think it'll take, but I think 3 years, and I don't know how long people, like the masses, are going to wait. Like, I don't know if the masses are going to say 3 years is okay. I don't know if Jay Wando is going to be like, 3 years is okay for us not to be winners. I love Jay. Yeah. So, but listen, our expectations, he played football. Our expectations are so high. Yeah. And it's hard to manage those.
Yeah. Yeah. Time will tell.
Are you excited? Do you see that we're moving in the right direction? Like everything you've heard at ESPN, like everything that Matt Perkins and I see is that we're doing the right things, but you're seeing dudes like, are their bodies changing? Like, they're getting much stronger. They're not coming to the bar as much. Like, I think you got to blow off some steam as long as it's, in the right way.
Yeah. No, I do think they are going in the right direction, and it's, they have to warm up to each other. They have to warm up to the coaches, and I think they're working hard. I've heard a lot of great things are going on in the last few weeks in spring ball, and I think we're taking steps in the right direction. But the average fan is going to say, you know what, well, that's what they said last year, and that didn't happen. So they have some things to prove, but I think each year their record will get a little bit better, and they'll get to, where they want to be.
So, Claire, do you think we are top 12 and we're going to be in the playoffs?
I would sure hope so. I think so.
I think so too. But again, I'm always drinking the Kool-Aid and the glasses are just half full. It's like all the way full. It's overflowing. Claire, I'm gonna get you out of here on a couple rapid fire questions, like we try to do with all of our guests. First, what is the one improvement you would make to improve the game day, and as far as from like a student's perspective?
Ooh, that is a good question. To improve game days. I haven't been to, as Matt knows, I worked all the tailgates for ESPN Madison, so I haven't been in Camp Randall in a long time. But I think they just need to engage with the fans more, because once we lose once, like, people don't even want to go to the games anymore. So I don't know exactly what marketing scheme they need to put on, but, just keeping the fans engaged, because it's hard, obviously, when you're losing. Fans only want to watch when they're winning. But I don't know how exactly that would look. But
that's a great thought, because when you see jump around, and then then the stands are empty after jump around. So that's unless the game's a tight game against Ohio State. But if it's not, that's really interesting, Claire. Thank you. That was I'd never even thought of that.
Yeah, even on the TV you see it, and it's just like the top of the stands aren't even filled at all. Our fans are giving up.
No, I think
they're not giving up. They're not.
The alumni back in there, and there will be filled up forever.
Hey, I haven't given up.
You're going to be an alumni tomorrow.
No, oh my gosh.
What's the most creative NIL deal you've seen? Like, what's your favorite NIL deal you've seen between a brand and a player in Madison?
Brand and a player.
Perkins.
I mean, because I think like Mission Barbecue with the offensive line, like that those kind of things go in line, right? Big guys.
They have like a Portillo's one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have that bagel place. What is that?
Gotham.
Yeah, they have the Gotham one. A lot of the O-line guys have the Gotham one.
It's because Joe Thomas invests in Gotham bagels.
And Mission Barbecue.
And there you go. He's an O-line.
I think Wando's trying to get some NIL deals in there too.
All I would say is I would just be like, Wando, just give me PBR on Tuesday nights and Coors Lights the rest of the time, and I'll rock a Wando sweatshirt everywhere I go.
Yeah,
which I already did.
Something. He's got to think of something. My favorite though, I don't know. There are some like small business ones that I can appreciate, just like around Madison.
Yeah.
There's one on the tip of my tongue, and I don't even remember. It might be Wisconsin Design Team, or there are a couple that, they're just supporting small businesses. And then you have the big ones like Braylon with Pepsi, and I can't imagine how much.
Yeah, I was thinking more about some of those small ones. Like Wisco Design Team does a really good job with a lot of the stuff they do. Shout out to them. They're not paying us to say this, but they do a really good job.
No, they do. I just bought some stuff from there. Yeah, no, they have. Yeah, I think a couple of guys have supported them, and
it'd be good to be sponsored by Pepsi. Oh man.
I'm not
like the most handsome human being, but like I would have been on a billboard somewhere.
Oh yeah, he was everywhere I looked. It was like Braylon staring at me in the billboard.
That was the wildest thing to me coming back to campus this fall, because I haven't been there I haven't been there in the NIL era. So coming back to campus this fall for a game, walking into the bookstore and having like a Braylon display in the bookstore. I'm like, this is not like the bookstore that I remember whatsoever.
Yes, it's in so many different windows around Madison. I'll just turn. I'll be like, oh, geez, huge life-size Braylon.
and Braylon's not a small person. Okay, what is the number one song in Wando's these days? What's the number one song being played in Wando's? Because I will forever associate Wando's with Flow Rida. I think there was more Flow Rida played in Wando's in my peak era of 2007, 2008 than anything else.
You got to get the metrics, the data. I'm sure they have the data there.
The data I have is the amount of beer that I drank there and the amount of times that I listened to Low.
Oh my God.
Time.
Well, it definitely, I find it crazy because, Wando's is home to the Jump Around, but Jump Around is not allowed to be played in Wando's because if the DJ, well, specifically the DJ on the third floor, when Jump Around's played, you think the floor could possibly cave in. So Jump Around is not allowed to be played at Wando's. But it honestly depends. Just because, we have new DJs coming in all the time and we don't have Wando also feeds the jukebox a lot what he wants to play. So it's songs that I don't even know, but he, he caters to the audience. We let him do his thing. But, a lot of times just like top hits are playing, just random stuff. But DJs are always good. Plug Wando's. If you come to Wando's on a Saturday, it's a lot of fun.
It's bananas. So that place, when Matt Perkins and I were there, didn't have a third floor. It was only 2 floors.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
it was like getting gated. Like there was like a gate. It was like the VIP room was upstairs, and like as a non-football player, as a mere ex-track athlete, it was very tough for me to get up there when I wasn't with.
We would populate the second floor very heavily. That bar up there, we would go to that bar and just stand there. That's my favorite place to be. Is that bar?
You are never on the second floor bar. I always see you on the first floor.
The second floor bar has become like a line to get to the third floor. So I don't know.
Not if I'm bartending, Matt. Not if I'm bartending.
If you're on the second floor, I'm going up to the second floor. Yeah. Best Bloody Marys. Oh man, I can say so many nice things about Wando's. That's why I should have an NI. Wando should just pay me now to do it.
You deserve some back pay.
He should.
Don't even get me started on back pay. I would love that. Claire, favorite fishbowl?
Oh, I think fish bowls are one of those things where, if it's your first time at Wando's or you're reminiscing on Wando's, you can drink a few sips of a fish bowl. But if you do not want a hangover, I don't know. But our most popular fish bowl is a blue fish bowl. I think it tastes the best for sure. But if you like orange soda, then you should get an orange fish bowl. Or, Mountain Dew, yellow fish bowl. Kind of, it's all on preference, but people say blue's the best. I think it probably is the best. I've never had a whole fishbowl myself because that is a lot of liquor, but people do.
By yourself? I mean, that's intense. For my birthday, my sophomore year, I split one, and that was about as much as I could possibly do.
Well, they used to be a lot bigger. They were shareable for sure, but when COVID hit, then people couldn't share fish bowls anymore. So we have personal fish bowls, but there are still 7 shots in there. So I don't know if that's very personal. I don't know if that's personal, but
it's very personal. You're going to have this relationship with Wando's for multiple days. After, dude, Claire, the big fish bowl that literally fish could live in, was now thinking post COVID how gross it was that you get 15 straws and you would pass it around the bar, and almost everyone would take a sip, and then you'd get it back and just drink it like it was nothing wrong with it.
What's wrong with that, Matt? I still see no problems here.
No. Listen, you're building your immunity. It just seems so gross at this point in time. That 15 straws that 25 people have touched with their mouth. and then you go back and drink. Because I would try to put all the straws in my mouth and take a sip. That's really gross. Imagine how much backwash. Oh, all these. I can't even get into like.
We still put a handful of straws into the personal fishbowl.
We
condone in sharing.
You knew when someone was trying to really get there at night if someone's like, "I'll take a fishbowl," because first it's only $20 and it's like 20 different drinks, and you knew it because we would just be, "Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
Oh, I'm already hungover."
I know, right?
It's amazing, and there's
That
so many
was
straws
my
not being used.
21st birthday.
Yeah. I'd like to fact check that with the bouncers.
Statute of limitations has passed greatly. Good times. I mean, Bernie, I feel like we need to do a live show at Wando's at some point. Like that's the dream, honestly, for me. The dream
we have to do it.
The dream for me is to have get set up at Wando's and just have guys and girls come through, sit down 5 minutes with us, just keep them coming. Just
you know what? Coming. They would, if you came out on a Saturday night, you could pick people off the third floor.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Every sports team is up there on a Saturday night.
That's the dream for me.
I think that would be so fun. Late night podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Wando would let it happen.
Yeah.
I know, but that means we have to stay awake for it.
Yeah, we're old men. We're old men, Bernie.
Claire, you've never seen me at Wando's at night. I come at I'm like knocking on the door saying, "Guys, it's 9:00. Like, come on," or it's 8:00 for the 11. I'm like, come on.
He needs his Bloody Mary.
I need my bloody. I might need two. Don't say it like that. I love the breakfast sandwich. Wando's food to me is delicious.
Yeah,
it's a good sandwich.
Very good sandwich.
What's
on
the
a
best?
Game day?
What's the best? What's the best food at Wando's?
Ooh, I would say we have really good burgers because Wando, he takes pride in actually spending good money on meat that's good meat. So a Wando burger, excellent.
We used to go there on Mondays. It was $2 burgers.
Yep.
Really? Yeah, it's not that anymore.
No, it's not that anymore. The whole team would show up. We take over Monday at 5:36 or whenever we let out from practice or working out. We would go to Wando's and get everyone would get two. I mean, for $4, you can't. That's a great deal. Now you can't get anything for $4 in Madison.
KK, not plugging KK, but KK has some type of burger basket deal that's cheap, but
and they have cheese. They have grilled cheese specials all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, Wando's grilled cheese is good too, though.
Yeah,
you don't even get me started on the menu at Wando's. I can go for days. Chicken wings, extra sauce, extra buffalo sauce, delicious. The fish fry, it's delicious.
Yeah, people like the fish fry.
The fish fry is so good. It's just all fried food. It gets a little heavy after a while.
It might make your stomach hurt a little bit.
You got to get the rice just to mix it up. I think they don't do rice anymore. It's fish fry with rice. Oh.
We don't have rice in it. It's a roll. There's a roll and tartar sauce, and that's it.
Well, I am old. The menu, I hope, has changed a little bit.
Changed.
But the bloody and the breakfast sandwich with a beer chaser. If I'm sitting at Wando's on the first floor and Claire's serving, and I get that in front of me, there is literally I don't want to be anywhere else in this world. And if I'm having to sit in the Bernstein chair,
you're sitting in your own chair.
It's the day. It's that's gonna be a good day.
Yeah, and then you get to go to the game after.
And if I am lucky to go by the tailgate.
Or the tailgate.
Yeah. That's a place, free drinks when you're in there. Oh my goodness. I've chugged 5 beers to just keep it going.
Oh, geez.
Bernie. Well, Bernie, when it's with you, it's always a good day. What can I say?
You and I were walking around at 10 in the morning drinking whiskey.
Yes, we were. And guess what it was? It was a great day. It was a great day. They beat Nebraska. I got to sit in the suites and not get not get pulled out into the freezing cold. It was beautiful. But for today, we are going to wrap it up here on Believe in Badgers, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oak Ridge Wealth Management on the Believe Network. Claire, cannot thank you enough for spending some of your very busy schedule with us here today. Good luck on your final.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations on graduation.
Thank you.
We are very happy for you. We hope to see you and everyone at Wando's every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So until next time, we appreciate everyone tuning in. On Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.
Yeah.